What's good, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Unfortunately, the live trading session yesterday ended up being a little bit uneventful, but we kind of expected it because we did mention that on late news days, like yesterday where news was dropping at 2 p.m., mornings tend to be a little bit boring. And as you can see, the real move didn't really begin until around 1:30 p.m., which, if you guys remember what I taught you, the ideal trading window for yesterday is going to be any time starting after 1 p.m. up to 3 p.m. And check it out, majority of the move happened between 1:30 p.m. and 3:10 p.m. This is not a coincidence. It's because yesterday was a news day, it was FOMC, and overall, because we were looking for a long yesterday, this was an overall correct kind of analysis. However, I was personally not able to trade this, mainly just because of time zone limitations. I live in Asia, which means FOMC drops at like 3 a.m. my time, which is fine. Like on days like this, I don't trade anyways, but I did try to catch a move during the morning session. Fortunately, it was way too choppy. Nothing ended up happening, and I just ended up taking the small loss instead on X, if you guys followed me. But otherwise, today, let's hope that it's a little bit more clear in terms of the market conditions. And so far, I think we're going to have a pretty good trade today. But just a heads up, this Saturday, I'm going to be doing a quick little 2.5 hour long Q&A session. If you've it's been 2 weeks now since the masterclass, and in these 2 weeks, hopefully you've already kind of started to absorb things. And at this point, maybe you might have a little bit of questions. And originally, this Q&A was intended to be just for the VIP group. But if you guys would like to join, we're opening up 100 spots for a guest pass, right? For $28. For less than like $10 an hour that you're paying for my time, you get to just speak directly with me if you'd like. If that sounds interesting to you, and if you'd like to get the guest pass and join the Q&A, or if you can't make the Q&A itself and you want the recording, it will be included, then click the first link in the description box below. But otherwise, just a heads up, in 4 days, Blueprint is going to close. If you're thinking about Blueprint, the first Blueprint Q&A call is going to be happening later in about 4 hours, like 1 p.m. GMT today. But otherwise, with that, all of that out of the way, let's get into the video. So kicking things off with Bitcoin, so far the daily bias is towards the downside, which means that we're going to be looking for shorts. So far, things have already started playing out towards the downside, which is a huge contrast to what we had yesterday, where we had a really bullish move. But anyways, because we're looking for shorts today, it's going to be pretty straightforward. Right here is a fair value gap, and again, right here is another fair value gap. And so I think the setup for today is going to be really straightforward. Once you get into this zone, you're going to just be looking for downside. Well, either this or this. Both of them are valid. And the key thing to understand is that today you have news at 8:30 a.m., which means the ideal trading window for today for these trades to happen is going to be anytime starting 7:30 a.m. all the way up to 9:30 a.m. That's going to be the ideal trading windows. And as usual, I'll be posting all of my live trades or just updates on X. If you're in Blueprint, of course, we'll have a Blueprint call so we can kind of live trade this together. Going down into the 5-minute chart just to kind of refine this. So far, London has been doing pretty much nothing. And so what's interesting is that you have a couple of relatively equal lows on the 5-minute chart right before that hourly PD array. So during the New York session, we're just going to look for a sweep above these relatively equal highs, stop everyone out, and then dump the market towards the downside. So that's going to be the easy trade for the day. Now, again, I will be posting the entries live on X. But otherwise, going down into Ethereum. Ethereum is a different story because we ended up closing bullish. So technically, we should be looking for a bullish trade. However, given that we are bearish on Bitcoin, we have to adapt accordingly with Ethereum, because ultimately, if Bitcoin starts dumping, Ethereum is also just going to dump straight up. And so right now, you have a fair value gap on the 1 hourly chart, and that is going to be the key level where you want to look for price to get into before dumping. Down to the 5-minute chart, we have also these relatively equal highs, and this is essentially just going to be a textbook accumulation, manipulation, and then distribution towards the downside type of setup. Lastly, we move on to Solana. Now, Solana, in terms of the daily chart, closed bearish. In fact, out of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana is looking the most bearish. In fact, if you're bullish on Solana, you really don't want to see price close below here today, but it's looking like there is a pretty high probability that that happens. Now, in terms of Solana, you're going to have a fair value gap right here, and in terms of the 1 hourly chart, of course, you have another one up here as well. Both are valid. It's not the job of a trader to predict which high is going to be like the quote-unquote resistance. It's just a game of like reading and reacting. Like when price gets into these areas at the key timing zones, if it reacts the way that we're looking for, then you simply take a trade. That's about it. So over here, you have relatively equal highs, same exact setup. If I had to prioritize one trade over the other, I would probably prioritize Solana just because of how bearish it's looking. But at the same time, don't sleep on Bitcoin. This thing could like just move pretty aggressively as well. But yeah, outside of that, I'm going to be posting everything on X. If you want to join the Q&A on Saturday, feel free to join. And if you guys are wondering why I'm not just making this free, it's not going to be valuable for everyone. If 500 people just end up joining the call, I'm only one person. I'm not going to be able to answer all of your questions. So it's also the reason why we're putting a cap of 100 spots. If you'd like to join the Q&A call for less than the price of a meal, then feel free to join. But otherwise, I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video, and ciao, ciao.